Hello everyone, I'm Scotty Deluxe, but on this channel you can call me Quetch. Here we cover all things current Final Fantasy XI, and today I have for you the login points that are coming in the month of October, as well as the current campaigns that are going to be running, and the teaser for the patch that's coming out on Tuesday, and let's just dive into it. You can see right away we have a brand new painting coming with login points. Blue Blade Fell. It's going to be 500 login points, and points are going to start on Tuesday along with the update, and you'll be able to obtain points until the 2nd and exchange them until the 9th as usual. We can see here we have a couple of cosmetic items in the 100 login points that aren't very usual. The Leech Belt and the Slime Belt aren't very common. A couple of other cosmetics in the Pupils set, which is nice but comes around every now and again, so a lot of players have it already, but definitely check those out. Down in the 300 point category, we have the Lost Sickle for proccing red procs in Abyssia, is the Halloween themed scythe. It's been a staple for years for people to use as their level 1 scythe weapon. Along with that, we have the Chocobo Commode and the Chemistry set, two things that I'm a fan of visually. The Chocobo Commode is a chest with a Chocobo motif on it. The Chemistry set is a nice little kind of alchemical looking furnishing. But again, the big star of this is the Blue Blade Fell painting. It's a brand new painting that we haven't had before. I assume they're going to continue the trend of releasing 2 to 3 brand new furnishing or cosmetic items one at a time, and then the month after that will be all 3 available in one campaign. So pick this up now if you want it, but there will be time later on, I assume. Down to the 750 point items, we have the music machine thing for your Mog House again, as well as the thing that comes around every now and again, roughly around this season, is the turkey with Roland Berry sauce. Is actually a kind of good item to pick up. The thing is, it doesn't stack, but strength 10, attack 20%. Some people may even make use of the counter plus 10 in this item. It's actually kind of good for the amount of times it comes around, but again, it doesn't stack, so maybe this is for you, maybe you can pass. Lastly, the 1,000 point and the 1,500 point are the pretty regular login stuff. On to campaigns. Bonus Bailed. This is just the regular Bailed, not the HP this campaign, so if you need points to, say, turn in your Adolin rings for a new ring, this will be your campaign for that. Double Simulacre campaign, of course, is involved in any kind of skirmish you might be doing. The Simulacre segments are usually pretty plentiful in the auction house as it is, but alongside this campaign, there's more than enough for everybody. Delve Campaign Plus, good old moneymaker here. This is the campaign where you get double the usual amount of Neoplasm. If you're working on an Idris or an EPO, this is the best time to knock out the points you need for that, as well as be able to spend these points on things like Yggdrant Bowls or Rockfin fins or teeth, that kind of stuff. They sell for good in the auction house. If you wait until after the campaign especially, you just hold on to the mats or the points, you can make plenty of money during this campaign. Next up is the Abyssia campaign, where you get the red chest outside of Horst in Port Juno that gives you 11 Atma, a Lunar Abyssite key item, and 100,000 Crewer to get you started with any kind of Abyssia-related stuff. If you are new to the game especially, definitely pick up this red chest. You're going to want this whenever you get to the point where you're wanting to do Abyssia content for Empyrean weapons or Empyrean upgrades, that kind of stuff. Of course, along with what we know is coming with more Sortie, there's more involvement with Empyrean upgrades. So be aware of this if you don't already have it. Surge Walk campaign, another moneymaker. This is the Walk of Echoes. This opportunity gets valuable items as well as triple experience and capacity points. That's not really relevant anymore in this content, but the items that can be obtained, such as the Pixie Hairpin, the Flume Belt +1, the Enchanter's Earring +1, and Wind Buffet Pelt +1 are all very valuable, and with any luck, after about maybe 10 or 15 runs, you should be getting one of those items, is the kind of drop rate that I see. Good money here, although it is a bit of a gamble. Campaign Fiesta. Campaign will undergo the following adjustments. The important one is you earn special rewards, including M silver pieces, 100 bind bills, Lungo Nungo, and more following campaign ops. This isn't super worth doing. Double Unity Accolades campaign. As usual, you get double the amount for vanquishing monsters and doing ROE stuff. Double Unity's always helpful. Extra, make sure you reach your capped accolades and trade them in for Gil every week, as well as work on Unity NMs. Usually comes around with the double Unity drops. We'll see further on if we have that. The Adeline Dial, my least favorite campaign. It just sticks an Adeline Dial into your inventory, and you can use it at the Goblin Box. It's the items obtained from that are varied in value. You might make a little bit of money doing it. I believe the inventory management is not worth the time. Vagary campaign. This is good because people are upgrading a lot of their Empyrean stuff right now, as mentioned before. And during this campaign, you get additional rewards when doing Vagary. Vagary is a great event to do in a group of up to 18, and everybody sets their ROEs. You can do it weekly, and you get things like dark matter and plovid flesh, stuff like that, basically shoved right in your inventory. So grab a group of people, go along, and everybody gets Gil, and there's no competition for drops, really. There's a couple that drop during the event, but in general, everybody ends up in the positive here. Skirmish Stone in Arcane Glyptics campaign. Every time this comes around, I point out the one item that I'm aware of that people still use, and that's the Again with the Gauges +1. If you're working on a bard, you want to make sure to get a max one of those. The Skirmish Stone stuff is, the ones for this campaign are a little outdated. They're a lot outdated at this point, actually. In general, most of this gear is not used. Skirmish Frenzy Campaign Plus. Skirmishes will undergo the following adjustments for the duration of the campaign. I'm not going to read through each of these individually, but if you need stuff from Skirmish, this is the time to do it. The drop rate of just about everything you'd want from Skirmish, whether it be the wings to trade in for the gear drops themselves, such as Telkeen. This is the way to get it. Moving on. Unity Wanted Campaign. For the duration of the campaign, completing Wanted 1, 2, or 3 records of ROEs will yield 2 additional treasure chests of each type. Yes, so along with the double Unity Accolades campaign, you spend those in the Unity fights, and you get 2 treasure chests instead of 1. Especially when people need Tumult Curator, this is the time to do it. Good money can be had doing Unity, but usually people use this to target the items they're looking for. There's still a lot of great gear in Unity that players of all stages of the game can use, and is very welcome when it comes around. HTBF campaign, another moneymaker. So actually a lot of these are this month. You could spend your time doing a lot of these events and make Gil this month. For the duration of the campaign, the number of personal drops in the following battlefields will be increased by 1, and players will receive either a Pluton, case or box, Chunk of Beitetsu, case or box, Riftborn Boulder, case or box. Right now, there seems to be a little shortage of some of these. I don't know if people are just having some extra free time, having, kind of finished up with Sortie Floor 1 and are looking to make more Rimas or what have you, but you can usually walk away with a ton of Beitetsus, Boulders, and Plutons. During this campaign, it's a lot of fun to get together with some friends and spend all your merit points, maybe go get some more. Again, this is another event where everybody kind of makes out with extra Gil and you're not fighting over the individual drops. Reisenjima Guy's Feet. This is, as opposed to the one I mentioned last month, this is the one involved in Reisenjima. Yes, this is the equipment campaign. So you get personal rewards of the equipment from Reisenjima, which is as opposed to the campaign that gives you extra like Fernstones and whatnot. So if you're looking to get something to drop from Ryzen, this is a good campaign to be doing, especially given that the Dark Matter Arcane Glyptics campaign is going on. For the duration of the campaign, Gaia's Feet equipment from Reisenjima can be engraved with Arcane Glyptics up to 6 times at no additional charge, with the equipment receiving the same benefits as if they were engraved with Dark Matter. DM augments are still relevant, although losing their luster with the gear creep coming from Empyrean +2 and +3, we'll get to that later, as well as Odyssey that's been out for quite a while now. However, there's still a number of pieces that want Dark Matter engravings, such as Phalanx 4, Phalanx 5. Some minor gear sets are still using weapon skill damage augs, but that's getting more and more rare. And some people still chase after high quad attack 3 for, again, certain gear sets, certain niche builds. If you don't have anything niche that you particularly know about, but you want to play a tank, I would be working on Phalanx 4 and 5 during this campaign. Dynamis Granules of Time. If you want to go to OG Dynamis, you will walk in with a full time extension and not worry about getting kicked out after an hour or what have you. Hyper Chocobo Digging Campaign. The time of rest between executing your next command after digging will be decreased for the duration of the campaign. This caps your Chocobo digging speed. Again, not many people do Chocobo digging. I did a little bit on stream last month when the campaign was active, and I had a good time, but walked away with very little to show for it and about 2 hours of work. Macrocosmic Orb Campaign. This is your money drop campaign, so you can get things like HQ abjuration bases from this. There's a number of good rewards. Check out the wiki if you have extra Sacred Kindred crests to spend and try to target the item you're looking for. Basically, what happens is during this campaign, each of these zones has a unique set of drops that are added to the pool. I can just recommend off the top of my head. I know Chamber of Oracles. I've done this one and gotten lucky here. The other one is I've done personally is Grimshell Shock Troopers and had a lot of luck there. Basically, you have a job that walks in and sleeps everything and then just pick off the quadovs one by one. Again, this is another moneymaker. I think this one has maybe fallen a little bit in comparison to the things like Walk of Echoes now that gear creep has happened, and even HTBF campaign is maybe a little bit better use of your time, but this is a fine way to spend your time and get some gil. Be aware that the drops here are going to be players would have to lot on. That's probably the big difference, is if you're able to handle this like solo with trusts, then this may be overall a better way for you to make gil, but even the abjuration armors have come down over time in value. So again, this may be for you, it may not, but it is another valuable way of earning gil during this campaign. Lastly, we have Omen Light Double Up campaign. This basically doubles your chances of receiving a free floor when going up floors in Omen. If you've had the free floors, you know they can be hit or miss, and they're mostly miss. I've had maybe, of all the Omen I've done, maybe 3 chest floors that I've gotten that we actually got a drop of loot that was relevant to a player in the group at the time, out of the maybe 30 chest floors I've seen, probably more than that over the course of playing in Omen. Last is Ambuscade Gallantry campaign. The number of badges of gallantry earned from normal and intense ambu will be doubled once per day. That stacks with your seal as written here. The first time you do ambu in a day, try to do the hardest difficulty you can, use a seal, and you'll cap your gallantry very fast. That's it for the campaigns. It's kind of a light month this month. We did the login, we did the campaigns. We're going to do the update announcement, and we're going to talk a little bit about the big piece of content that we know is coming. Good day, adventurers. Matsui here with your monthly dose of FF11 chatter. Tokyo is finally entering fall. With all of Japan's wondrous fruits tasting better than ever, it's also a great time to relax on the couch with a good book. Speaking of books, lately I've gotten into online subscription-based audiobook services. Since all I have to do is listen, I can enjoy literature while cooking dinner or taking my dog for a walk. I'm glad I gave the service a try. Let's get right into the October information, shall we? A new section of Sortie is opening up. With new materials to collect. And more importantly, the ability to reforge Empyrean armor to their +3 versions. The stats are beefier than ever, and the path to completion is sure to be a long one. I'm looking forward to seeing what strats you come up with the latest edition in our newest battle content. I just want to give my my take here. You know, I've been talking about this stuff a lot with the community I have over on Twitch and in Discord. By the way, if you want to be a part of that community, I definitely recommend checking out our Discord. It's in the link in the description down below. They say something here, the stats are beefier than ever, and the path to completion is sure to be a long one. My opinion on this next tier of Sortie has been, if it's about roughly 4 months of doing Sortie, I'll be happy. So I'm a fan of Sortie Floor 1. I really enjoy doing the content. I really like the sense of communication that you have to have between players in order to hit all the good objectives that you want to do. The issue that it had is after about a month of doing it, if you're doing it 3 to 4 times a week, you kind of cap out. In general, most players, I play 7 jobs in my main, that I pretty much took care of all the gear I needed for all 7 jobs. You know, again, 3 to 4 times a week. upgrading Empyreans from +1 to +2, and then there's no further incentive within the content aside from earring boxes to continue doing it. And those earring boxes are extremely random as to if you're going to get something relevant, especially once you've gotten all of your NQ earrings for the jobs that you play. Then you got to get either a +1 box or hope for a +1 earring, and then it's got to be one of the jobs you play. It's just not worth it to target only earrings. So you go in and you want to have you want to make sure that you're gaining Gallimaufry. You want to make sure that you need sapphires, but in general, players at my position have already got an exceptional amount of sapphires that they're not currently using, as well as close to capped on Gallimaufry. So it's just a little less desire to go into Sortie Floor 1. Now, that was about a month. If we can get 4 months minimum out of Sortie Floor 2, I get to do a piece of content that I genuinely enjoy doing a number of times a week. It's an hour long. I get together with a bunch of people, and again, there's all that communication that happens. It's actually really fun. So that'll make me happy. And then, of course, lead that into wherever the Voracious Resurgence missions, whatever content that is leading to, which is where I honestly believe that we're going to get a nice new big piece of content from that, just given how the way the storyline is playing out and the fact that prime weapons are tied into the Voracious Resurgence. This is a great holdover. I'm actually really excited for this. And the other thing I want to point out here is the phrase, the stats are beefier than ever. There's been a lot of talk in the community about what they're going to do with, in particular, weapon skill damage on the +2 pieces. So the +2 pieces start with a very high weapon skill damage number. Well, relative to other content from a comparable state, the other +2, for example, the other +2 artifact and relic, you would get at the +2 stage, you'd get like 5 weapon skill damage. This is 8. Now, 8 is not a lot, considering you get 10 on the +3 pieces of those respective categories. And, for example, Niame fully ranked up is getting up to 12. So people saw the 8 on the +2, and there was a lot of chatter about how, okay, so they're just going to give us like +10 at the +3. That's kind of weird. Like, that doesn't seem right. But there's a lot of players of the opinion, like, well, they couldn't just eclipse like Niame or the +2 from the other categories. It's got to be the same. I think that we're going to get much higher base stats and higher, for example, weapon skill damage and PDL than we have in the past. So, for example, the Thief +2 head has 7 PDL on its base. That is higher than your other option, which is Gleddy's, and that's only the +2. So I foresee the +3s going up to potentially 14 or 16 weapon skill damage. That's really big, but don't forget we're also getting a new tier of Odyssey eventually as well, and that's going to be upgrading the Niame from 25 to 30, and we're already at 12 there. So if 20 to 30 gives us 2 more WSD, it brings us up to 14. Now we've got Niame, which is a complete set of WSD 14 gear. Okay, but your Empyrean may have 16 in that slot. So if you spend your time upgrading the Empyrean piece, you have a better piece for that one particular slot and that one particular job. It's more specialized. So I really think we could see upwards of 16. My bet would be 14. We could get 12. Let's be honest, we could get 12. And then the further Odyssey gear ends up slightly eclipsing this in the future. However, also, don't forget that your Empyrean gear is going to be targeting the proper stats for your job's used weapon skills anyway. So safety would be to bet on 12. I'm looking at 14. And then PDL probably 10 or 12, which is really high. And yeah, super excited for that. So the rest of the October update is going to be, we have Ambuscade. It's going to be Medusae. Certain ability recast times of Medusa enemies have been increased to make it easier for you to deal with the challenges they pose. That's good. I don't super remember this Ambu, but I'm sure they turn you to stone or something. Then Ambuscade V2. The Formor battle features a full lineup of previous foes led by a new Elven boss. Wasn't the Fomors a Volume 1 battle? You may find the battle quicker if you take out the lackeys first. Yeah, sorry y'all, I don't do version 2, so this is all new information to me. Trick or Treat has an effect that might actually benefit you if you target a player as a specific food buff. If you're using a tank alter ego, don't fret. As long as the summoning player has the buff, Trick or Treat will still fire off, even if it targets their alter ego. Prepare your candy. Okay, so putting up candy, the Elven or the Fomor steal it, and it has some kind of T buff, I guess. Fun stuff. Really great for the players who are just kind of looking to get into the game, which is where Volume 2 is aimed at. This month, there's no new entry to TVR as we gear up for the next chapter coming to you in November. It's good to know. We know we're getting a new chapter in November. Let's see if there's anything else here. However, the Peculiar Foes, Records of Eminence objectives associated with the previous chapter will be going live in October, so make sure to give those a go. Awesome. That's a couple more silver vouchers a month for people who are caught up on TVR. I would expect this. I would expect to not see a next TVR storyline, given that we're getting Sortie Floor 2. And I really hope that November's TVR gives us a projection for when we're getting real content for that storyline. And that'll play out sometimes towards the end of Sortie Floor 2's initial sort of lifespan. So what I mean by that is the players who are very dedicated and playing multiple times a week in this content at a high level, finishing that content, or, you know, getting the bulk of what they want reforged done. I hope we're landing somewhere in the TVR content. Even though fall is quite the agreeable season to me, I must confess that it is a bit difficult to decide what seasonal attire to wear. The weather can change at the drop of a hat, so make sure you're eating well and staying rested to avoid any undesired colds or seasonal doldrums. See you in Vanadil. Again, we'll just scout this for information. October ROEs, yes, we know that. Ambu, normal, Sortie, new area, new items, add method to confirm temporary items in possession outside of content, conclude compensation period. Okay, let me parse this out. The compensation period is if you had done Sortie prior to October and then talked to Ruspix, because certain players were having their items sort of like phantomly removed from their inventory when trading them to Ruspix, they gave us a compensation of 1 Sapphire and 10k Gallimaufry. That will be ending on Tuesday when this update goes live. So if you haven't, for some reason, done that by now, you should grab your free Gallimaufry and Sapphire. The other thing here that I do want to point out is add method to confirm temporary items in possession outside of content. Talking with the community, we feel that the way to access Floor 2 is going to involve some amount of removing the key items from your inventory that you have acquired in Sortie Floor 1. So a couple of thoughts people have had is you need all 4 boss keys to then open up the door to Floor 2. In other words, instead of going and fighting the bosses during a run, you simply go do the objectives for the bosses and then go open up to Floor 2, and then with your remaining time, say, go into Floor 2 and fight there, possibly granting a time extension. That's one theory. Another would be any of the other various items. So the warp KIs, the room keys, the A, B, C, and D key. Now I said boss keys, but I think those are called plates or metals, right? Plates, metals, and keys are the 4 different KIs you get when you go in. Some amount of those will be used up in order to access Floor 2 is the thought, or potentially you just have to defeat all 4 bosses in one run. I'm on the side of some sort of our KIs are going to be removed when going into Floor 2, and that would be why they'd want to confirm temporary items. I think that there's going to be sort of 2 general ways players are going to approach Floor 2 if that is the truth. The first would be players who can go into Sortie, they'd have enough time to get all the keys, but they're not really adept at the bosses. Maybe they don't have enough reforged gear. Maybe they're using trusts or only have 1 or 2 friends who want to go with them. So it's like 2 or 3 players and a couple of trusts. And the bulk of your time is going to be spent acquiring these objectives, and then you have an unlock to go into Floor 2 and upgrade your +2 to +3 further there. Then on your next run, you go in and you have those items already. You go straight to Floor 2, and you then get to earn currencies and whatnot in Floor 2. So that's going to be sort of one general way to do it. I think the players that are more advanced at Sortie will be able to, again, assuming this is true, go in, get all those objectives quickly, then go straight to Floor 2 and begin working on upgrades there. So Personally, I just think that would be a good way to handle it, and I kind of hope that's what they see, but it may be more or less stringent depending upon how difficult they intend on making Floor 2 to access. I think the difficulty will be contained in Floor 2 rather than accessing it, if they're going to follow the sort of playbook that they've done for previous content, such as Omen for Artifact +2 or Dynamis for Relic +2, or +3. Sorry, Artifact and Relic +3. Lastly, we have in October adding new items. We already know the Blue Blade Fell painting and Empyrean Gear, added items required for reforging. So this is a piece of content that players have been asking for likely as long as I've been playing. I started playing this main account in 2017, and around that time is when Dynamis released and we got Relic +2. It's been 5 years since then, and all throughout the time, when are we going to get Empyrean +3? When are we going to get Empyrean +3? And SC is finally delivering in October. So if you want to see more Final Fantasy XI current content, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.